Hey everyone, it's Jack and Adam from Cultaholic.com. Adam, you know what day it is? WrestleMania! Look at my shirt there.
Ripping!
Come on, Becky, you've got this. Yes, it's WrestleMania Sunday, and we do have a big slice of WrestleMania news. Well, we've got some WrestleMania news and some news about the goings-on from last night, where everything just kind of kicked off in multiple places in New York. Yeah. So we'll get into all of it, but first, let's take a look at the headlines. So first of all, we have further details on the individual who attacked Bret Hart at the Hall of Fame last night. Also, further details on Enzo and Cass jumping the barricade at Madison Square Garden and whether it's a work or a shoot. And finally, Impact Wrestling have come to terms with the release of a long-term star. So first of all, we do have to start off with the most serious news of the day, which is an update on the whole Bret Hart situation. I'm sure you've seen it already, but if you didn't, last night there were pretty shocking scenes at the Hall of Fame ceremony where, well, I saw your tweet, he's not really a fan, like an attendee, because his actions kind of disqualify him from being a wrestling fan, really.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's disgraceful behaviour.
He jumped the barricade and tackled Bret Hart to the canvas because the new setup of the Hall of Fame was like, the Hall of Fame was in the ring, the podium and everything. He managed to get past security, tackled Bret Hart, then was escorted swiftly off the premises. We do have further details, but we don't really want to reveal his name because we don't feel like we should be giving too much publicity to.
No, absolutely. If this was a PR grab of sorts, then it's not fair to give him the fame that he wants. Details are out there if you want to know, but we're not going to be responsible for doing so.
Yes, and the reason that you might say that it could possibly be a PR grab is because of this guy's sort of previous career. Mm-hmm. Because he's a 26-year-old from Nebraska. And I think it was PW Insider confirmed, just been various sources all over the place have said that he's actually a former or kind of current MMA fighter with a 2-1 record I saw somewhere.
Right.
So it may have been kind of trying to get attention on himself, but then there's another side of it which sort of implies that maybe he's quite a troubled individual as well because his Twitter account was found.
Yes.
And there were some tweets on there that sort of weren't exactly of a sound mind, really, quite strange behaviour.
No, absolutely. He'd been atting Triple H and Vince McMahon in the run-up to WrestleMania, I guess sort of warning them that he was coming. He doesn't seem of sound mind at all, as you say.
Yeah.
It doesn't disqualify or, It
doesn't excuse what he did.
No, absolutely, but I don't think he's a very well guy at all.
It's quite a obviously shocking and sad situation, but we must give full credit to Bret Hart and Natalya as well, who was right next to him. Quite a scary situation for the pair of them. But Bret carried on his speech and even made light of the situation, and to have the composure to do that just speaks volumes about his character, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he really managed to, because if he, for example, had quite rightly been too shaken up to continue, that would have really cast a cloud over the whole night. Mm-hmm. And luckily, I think it'll be looked back upon, hopefully, for more of like his classy response to it.
Absolutely.
Rather than the incident
No,
itself.
totally. It's. I think WWE dealt with it in the best possible way. They cut away as soon as it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see on the broadcast, which has since been cut from the repeat version on the network, so you can't see it there anymore. Obviously, it's floating about everywhere. Anyway, he has now been, obviously, he's been arrested and charged with 2 counts of assault in the 3rd degree, as well as disorderly conduct.
Yeah, that's from the LA Times, but WWE have also released their own statement saying an over-exuberant fan surpassed our security at ringside and made his way briefly into the ring. The individual has been turned over to the proper authorities. Also, another detail that has emerged in the wake of this is that the same individual was actually arrested for stalking earlier this year, so he does have a track record of previous sort of behaviour like that. Yeah. So it's a sad situation all around, but hopefully it doesn't really put too much of a damper on the weekend, and we can still all, enjoy WrestleMania.
Yeah, totally. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Dash Wilder, if this is going to make any changes. Obviously, Dash Wilder laid in a pretty hefty punch on the individual in question. Will that make a difference to the tag team title match tonight? Who knows? Who
knows? But I'm sure that whichever result happens in the tag title match, some people will say it's because of what he did. Win or lose, it's because of what he did.
You're completely right. I think he's going to get a pretty big pop.
Now on to another sort of barrier jumping incident, but one which has many people a lot more sceptical in its nature. This came right at the end of the big 4-way tag team match at the G1 Supercard event last night. And at the end of the match, after Tama Tonga and Tangaloa had just won, there was a bit of a fracas at the bottom of the screen, which was then cut away from, but you saw a few brief seconds of 2 individuals fighting with the Briscoes. Bully Ray ran down from the back. He wasn't even involved in the match. He got involved in this fight on the outside. And it was Enzo and Cass, believe it or not. Or the wrestlers.
I do believe it.
Yeah,
rather than not, if it's this sort of thing, yeah.
Or the wrestlers formerly known, I guess, as Enzo and Cass. Immediately watching this live, as myself and Sam were on the live stream, it seemed like a total real incident. It seemed real life. It seemed like, oh my God, what's going on here? But the longer it went and the more details that emerged, it sort of began to seem more like a work because, well, first of all, we cut to the commentary sort of desk, this commentary station, and behind them you could see the ramp, and Enzo and Cass were being slowly escorted away in a sort of pageantry style fashion. They were given time to like flip off the crowd and all that sort of thing. And it did seem like if this was a real incident, security would have been on them immediately. Then Voices of Wrestling, a website that they do really good analysis of stuff, but they released a tweet saying, just got a text, this is 100% of work, was told the upper level office pushed for it, despite the booking team being largely against it. So it sounds like something that Ring of Honor producers, I guess, have wanted to do to gain publicity on such a grand event of theirs. But I don't know how that would have... I feel like that would have been very divisive backstage, especially given the response to Enzo when he tried to crash Survivor Series last year.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of wrestlers kicking off online. Will Ospreay, who was on this show, for example, was very angry on Twitter, and I just can't imagine it went down that well.
There's part of me that thinks, hey, it's really clever using the real-life distaste, I guess, for Enzo Amore.
Yeah.
Following that incident.
Yeah.
And working into something like this, but at the same time, I mean, it's got people asking the question, is it real, is it false? It's been an effective PR grab, that's for sure.
It has.
But do you want to see them there?
I mean, I know that there's the whole, like, any news is good news type thing, or all publicity is good publicity, but I don't know if it is in the long run, because it kind of seemed like the tone afterwards, once people started to come around to the idea that this was a work, was one of kind of ridicule towards Ring of Honor, really.
Yeah.
Especially after a show in which the New Japan matches got a pretty generally positive review, but the Ring of Honor side of things had a much more negative response.
It doesn't seem like the time or the place.
No.
Maybe that's part of the thinking. Maybe. That's the reason that they did it. But maybe it was because both of those individuals were in town, they were able to sign some sort of deal for the future, and just thought, hey, we'll do it here. But with the New Japan partnership, it just seemed like a weird time to do it.
It really
worked for me.
Did. And also, I think that it was kind of a strange way of... Well, first of all, both of the guys have since tweeted about the incident, and the way they tweet about it reinforces the idea that it was a work, I think, because Enzo, or Real One, tweeted, #StillCertified. Although, to be honest, he responds to everything like he's in character, so that's pretty hard to tell, actually. But then Cass also tweeted Garden State, what was it, Garden Party, because they're in Madison Square Garden. Mm. Free Agent Z, or Z, I guess, because he's American. Free Agent Z. I imagine that's him, because he's kind of rebranded as Kaz.
Kaz.
Z on the
Very
end.
clever way of getting around trademark law there, Kaz.
Yeah, we couldn't quite work out what happened to his Twitter account, actually. I assume it's the legit one, given the people who follow him. Like Stephanie follows that account.
Yeah, there were a lot of legit followers on it, but it looks like he's terminated his old I think it was at Big Cass WWE. He's changed the name, so it's not showing up. But as I say, it didn't work for me. If it is a work, it doesn't make me want to see any future programming. So it's not. But maybe other people differ.
Maybe. We'll see. Impact Wrestling, in other news, have come to terms with the release of, well, a guy who I guess used to be a top star on the roster. He's a former Impact World Champion and has since sort of found himself sliding down the pecking order a little bit. That is Eli Drake. He did used to be a pretty big deal, and he's been there for a very long time. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether this has got anything to do with the fact that he tweeted recently, and I couldn't work out whether it was feeding into a storyline or whether it was just his own thoughts. I can't exactly remember the wrestlers involved, but I think it was a picture of Brian Cage staring down Jordan Grace, and Eli Drake basically did a tweet slating intergender wrestling, saying this is so unbelievable, how could you expect her to beat Brian Cage in a fight or whatever, like anything like that. And it obviously got such a negative response. And I'm just wondering, because that only happened, I think, in the past week or so, and I'm wondering if this is like a knock-on effect from that, or if maybe it was just him being disgruntled because he knew that he was already being released. I don't know.
Well, my understanding of it is that WWE have had their eye on Eli Drake for a long time.
I've not heard this, really?
Yeah. You look at him, and he does look like he could be a WWE guy, if that makes sense.
He looks very clean-cut, big-ish guy, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think, given the time that this has happened, it's fairly likely that maybe he's met with WWE staff and they've come to some sort of agreement and they managed to bash out a deal. I'm not sure. It's one that I liked his work in Impact, but I'm not.
He's very good on the mic.
He is very good on the mic. Very good on the mic.
He's kind of more of a promo guy at times. But he did give a statement in a recent interview with Wrestling Perspective. He spoke about what the future holds for him, saying, "It's time to start thinking about what options I have. Should I stay or should I go? We will find out. There are so many options out there," which is true. "How can I best boost my brand awareness, and how can I put more money in my pocket? It's a matter of figuring out what's going to work best for me long term." That does sound a bit WWE-esque. And finally, the biggest news of the week, obviously. It's the all-important weather update for WrestleMania, because WrestleMania 35, obviously, is outside. It's in a stadium, but there is, right, so I don't know how relevant this is, because there is a canopy over the ring.
There is.
But then listening to the Wrestling Observer this morning, or this afternoon when I woke up because my body clock's all gone, but listening to Wrestling Observer today, Alvarez and Meltzer were taking this very seriously. They were like, yeah, apparently it's going to rain. Well, I'll give the weather update first. I've never done this before.
This is good. We need a map behind us or something like that.
We just go to East Rutherford, New Jersey here and see. There's a slight 5% chance of rain between 10 to 11 p.m. Eastern, which is at the end of the show. The temperature will hover around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which for us is 60, because whenever I hear Fahrenheit, I'm just like,
not clear.
Sounds really hot though.
No, I inserted that because I didn't know what it was.
Cheers. 16 degrees Celsius, so kind of, yeah.
It's not hot, but
it's nice-ish.
WrestleMania 29 was a chilly one.
Was it?
Yeah. So it's hotter than it was then, which is nice.
The weather will be all right during the show. Not bad considering, yes, it was very cold for WrestleMania 29. Now, the way that Meltzer and Alvarez were looking at it, very seriously, not a shred of irony in their analysis either. It was great. They were going like, well, you know, if it rains towards the end of the show, they might want to get that main event done and dusted before then. And all I could think was, imagine the visual. Becky Lynch
showered in rain.
Well,
like
the rain will be behind her because she'll be in the ring but like holding the belts and just rain everywhere. I think that's cool.
Really absolutely. Cool. Like the Goo Goo Dolls, Iris, that wonderful
music video,
tipping down all over Becky Lynch.
Or Tears Don't Fall by Bullet for My Valentine. Yeah, for the rock kids out there. I think it was that video. Anyway, I think that would be cool. I think it'd be a good thing. Maybe not as nice for the fans who've been sat out there all day and then get rained on at the end.
Part of an experience.
It's just part of the experience of WrestleMania 35. It's been quite a week of wrestling, and it's all about to culminate. But obviously, we will still be covering Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania.
Live streams.
Me and you on Raw, Ross and Sam on SmackDown.
Correct.
I've got that the right way around yet. And also, at some point after that, the big WrestleMania punishment, which I'm just not. I'm so scared.
Screw that.
I'm so scared.
Screw that. Enjoy WrestleMania. Seriously, have a wonderful night tonight. If you're there, you're a very lucky person. People indeed.
Yes. Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments section down below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter @Cultaholic and on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do, then please do check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic, where you can pledge. And don't forget, of course, most importantly of all, to hit subscribe and to join us.